He thought she was just another recruit, until the bucket hit her head and the entire base went silent. No one expected the girl who stumbled under the weight of cold water to rise with eyes that carried fire. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. It happened on a blistering afternoon at Fort Bragg. The new recruits had been pushed to exhaustion, their uniforms soaked, their boots caked in mud. Among them was Elena Ramirez, small, quiet, and too often overlooked. That day, she stood at the edge of the field, her breath trembling but her posture unbroken. Colonel Briggs, a man with a reputation for breaking spirits before they could be built, stalked past the line. His voice was thunder. His eyes locked on Elena. He saw not a soldier in the making, but a weak link. And in a moment that left jaws clenched and stomachs turning, he lifted a steel bucket filled with dirty training water and dumped it over her head. The water slammed down her face, soaking her hair, her uniform, her pride. The recruits gasped. Some looked away, others bit their lips, praying she wouldn't cry. Briggs sneered, muttering, "This is war, not daycare." But Elena did not break. Her fingers trembled as she pushed wet strands of hair from her face. Her boots squelched in the mud. For a heartbeat, even she thought she might crumble. But then something deeper stirred. A memory of her father's words. Courage isn't loud, Misha. It's steady. It stands when the world expects you to kneel. And she stood. The air grew heavy. The recruits shifted uneasily. No one dared breathe too loudly, waiting for her response. She didn't scream. She didn't curse. Instead, she stepped forward, one boot, then the other, until she stood eye to eye with the colonel. Her voice was calm, but it carried a weight that shook the silence. "Sir, you can pour water on me all day, but you will not drown me. I came here to serve, and I will not quit." The field froze. Briggs' jaw tightened. He had seen hundreds of recruits snap under smaller humiliations. None had met his gaze like that. Whispers rippled down the line. A few recruits nodded, one even smirked in quiet admiration. For the first time in years, Briggs had been challenged without a shout, without defiance, but with unshakable resolve. He barked, "Fall back in line," yet his voice cracked, betraying his own surprise. That night in the barracks, Elena sat on her bunk, still damp, still shivering. But the room around her had changed. Recruits who had barely noticed her before now glanced with respect. One leaned over and whispered, "You shut him down without saying a word louder than his. That's strength." But Elena didn't feel strong. She felt torn. Had she dishonored the chain of command, or had she honored something greater? The very essence of why she enlisted. She lay awake, staring at the ceiling, her heart drumming like boots on concrete. The next morning, training began as usual. Dust rose with every push-up. Orders cracked through the air. But when Colonel Briggs appeared, something was different. His eyes found Elena, and instead of scorn, there was a flicker of something else. Maybe respect, maybe realization. He didn't apologize. Men like him rarely did. But he called her forward in front of everyone. "Recruit Ramirez, lead the next drill." Gasps spread down the ranks. No new recruit had ever been given command this early. Her chest tightened, but her voice did not falter. She shouted orders, and to everyone's surprise, they followed. For the first time, the base saw not just a recruit but a leader being born. Because strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it rises from soaked boots and a steady gaze, unshaken by humiliation. And sometimes the smallest soldier carries the loudest truth. Because courage doesn't vanish, it waits, and it finds its way back. And on that muddy field, under the weight of a bucket, it finally stood tall. If this story moved you, share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories of hidden courage and unexpected heroes.